Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, and a very special day today as I'm joined by two guys who I've known for about 3 years now, Mr. Eric and Mr. Ken, who we will be referring to them as. And I wanted to speak to them about kind of their story of how they became, well, a professional trader. These two guys I met through my own program, coming through this community, of course, as well, but they've kind of come into their own and essentially become professional traders. Actually, Ken, I should say, was, I believe, a professional trader before he even joined, so I don't want to kind of take that away from him, obviously. But it would be, but it would obviously be great to kind of hear it from the horse's mouth here and kind of talk about that process of what it looked like for yourself. So I'll let you guys kind of introduce yourselves. Eric, if you want to start off first.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for speaking with us today. So I started really trading probably back in like 2016, 2017 with traditional markets and stocks, but it really wasn't until, I found Krown and really got involved with his courses and really started learning about technical analysis that I kind of find my path. And basically throughout 2018, I was trading a lot of Bitcoin, a lot of cryptocurrencies, but I found that for me personally, I found my niche was traditional stocks. And from there, I've been basically trading traditional markets ever since.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Ken, what about yourself?
My story, without, getting too lengthy on everyone, I started learning about technical analysis in like 2013, 2014, I became, more serious over, into 2015. And I was thinking, preparing for this interview, I was thinking about the journey my technical analysis has been on, so to speak. And, when I first got going, I was like ride or die on diagonal trend lines, MACD, and like parabolic SAR, and like that. And that's what I knew. And, that was it. Yeah. And then, I kind of fine tuned my methodologies a bit, and I went full time around into 2016, started 2017. But, even looking back then, I was not the trader I am today. I joined your program. And through your program, I actually got introduced to a lot of the moving average techniques and things that I use, on every trade now. I learned a lot through your program. In 2016, 2017, a lot of crypto trading. And then, as I met Eric, we started doing, a call once or twice a week to talk over stocks that we really liked, talk the technicals on, traditional markets. And, we've been doing that for the past, 2.5, 3 years, just kind of like, batting ideas back and forth off of each other and becoming, really good friends in the process.
Awesome. Awesome. So I think a question that, I would be really interested in, and I'm sure other people would as well, is this: how did you know when you were essentially like, ready, I suppose, to kind of lift off and do your own thing pretty much fully? As I remember, Mr. Eric was pretty much, I believe you were in a job before you kind of came into actually learning everything. And so what did that look like? How did you know when you were straight up ready to kind of leave everything, I suppose, else behind and I suppose do this?
Well, I think it was a mixture of a lot of things. I had been trading. I definitely seen the progress. When I was trading on my own, I can't even say I was trading. I thought I was trading. I thought I was investing properly.
Right.
And I had probably, practiced that for 1.5 years before I came into your course. And from there, I learned how to start, following the markets. I learned emotionally how to prepare myself, for, working with greed and fear. Mm-hmm. And I think it was a mixture of really my day job, right? Waking up at 9 a.m., working till 5 p.m. at night, and, not being happy with the lifestyle I was living, and then also realizing that, hey, I can invest properly, and make a similar living, without having a boss to go into every day. So I do have to say I took a little bit of a leap of faith, but luckily it definitely worked out. But I would say that the thing that the moment that I really realized that I was ready was when I realized I wasn't FOMOing into trades anymore, right? I was making educated decisions based on the analysis I was doing. For a long time, I felt like every single day I needed to trade. What I found is when I was more relaxed, right, when I had more time to focus on things, I became a lot more, profitable. So it was a little bit of like a leap of faith, but definitely just like lots of practice.
So would you say that you kind of actually made that leap of faith before you actually were fully like profitable, or did you already kind of
Oh
have
no,
success before?
I had,
Okay, you were having success, right?
yes. Yeah, no, I was
Yeah.
definitely having success, but it's with no like real financial education. Right? I didn't go to college or
Mhm.
university, to work in finance. I was working in a finance related industry,
Right.
but it's a big leap of faith, for anybody to kind of say, hey, like, friends, family, I'm quitting my job to become a full-time trader, because
What
not
was the
only,
reaction like, if you don't mind me
yeah,
interrupting? What was kind of the reaction like of your friends and family?
well, my family is like very supportive, and it's kind of like you're in your mid to late 20s, right? This is the
Yeah.
time of your life to try something out. You're going to regret it if you don't.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm also like of the belief that I would much rather, live the lifestyle where I'm in control. I would much rather make $80,000 a year trading than $150,000 a year having a miserable boss and an 8 a.m. meeting every Monday and Friday.
Right.
So I kind of explained that to the people I was with, and they're like, "Go for it," and it worked out way better than expected.
That's really
So
wholesome, actually.
yeah,
Usually it's
well,
not so nice like that, to be
yeah,
honest, but that's
well,
actually really
yeah,
awesome, man.
yeah, well,
It sounds like everyone was
yeah.
kind of on board with it.
Yeah. And Bitcoin now at 50,000 doesn't hurt,
Yeah,
so
kind of makes it a
definitely.
little bit easier, that's for
Yeah.
sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Ken, what about yourself, man? So what did that whole process kind of what was that?
Yeah. So mine is maybe a bit like, I guess every person's story of how they become full-time traders unusual in its own way.
Right.
I was actually an attorney
Mhm.
practicing law. Uh, so what really what really did it for me was, and I was thinking about this the other day, is there was one day where I was like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. Where I at the time I was trading a lot of Ethereum, and this is like middle of 2017,
Oh,
and
nice.
I wake up at like 5 a.m. because I knew some shit was about to go down. I didn't know, but I had a pretty good feeling some shit was about to go down, and I had a big trade plan for the day.
Mhm.
And then at 6:30 a.m., I get a call from my partner,
Mhm.
my boss, who says, "Hey, we have this real estate closing far away. I have to get on a train 2 hours to get there, and it starts in 2 hours,
Yeah.
and you got to go. No one else in the firm can pick it up. Oh, by the way, like you don't know shit about this closing, so you're gonna look like an idiot the whole time." So I get my stuff together, get on the train, and as I'm going, I'm getting my price alerts on my phone. What I expected to happen was happening. Um,
Mhm.
I wasn't able to get it on the trade at all because I was at work all day.
Yeah.
And then, the client was the client didn't know what was going on. Obviously, he was very nice. He was like, "Let me take you out to a nice lunch." Like
Mhm.
obviously, a very nice gesture, but really, I just wanted to get back to my laptop and make some fucking trades.
Right, right.
And it ended up being like, it would have been, like a high. I mean, it would have been a very, very profitable day. Like, about half what I would have made in a year at my job as a lawyer. I missed
Nice.
out on that day. And that
So,
was the
if
day
you
it
don't mind me
clicked.
stopping you right there just for a second, Ken. So this is kind of a common thread that I notice with a lot of people who make that leap of faith into becoming a trader full time is that you essentially have a situation where you're like, okay, I would have made more money, or it basically cost me in order to do X, Y, Z instead of doing what I know how to do over here.
Opportunity cost, exactly.
Yes, absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
and the thing is, uh, while I liked being a lawyer and I enjoyed the work,
Hmm.
it wasn't like some lofty goal of mine where the the equivalency of making 80 grand on a trade in one day, or being a lawyer for a year.
Right.
um there wasn't any middle ground there that made it more worthwhile for me to go on the law path still. So that kind of click showed me okay, it's time to start thinking about going full time. And one of the big issues for me with that jump, or not issues, but things that I had to consider, was I did spend a lot of time going to law school, spent a lot of
Hmm.
money paying for law school. So it almost trapped me in like that sunken cost
Yes,
fallacy as
yes.
well, where it's like, you know, oh, you put so much time on this, like, why are you gonna, you know, let that go? But I did, and I never looked back, and you know, I think it's gone quite well. So no complaints.
How many years into your learning of trading were you before that distinction was made, before that day happened?
That was about, I would say, I mean, you know, I started learning TA like 2013, but didn't get very like serious until like 2015, 2016. So I was about
Gotcha.
2 years into, you know, a more serious level of trading.
Yeah, that's typically that's about the time length that I typically see myself too, especially like, well, with myself and then also with all the people that I'm surrounded by, is it's usually about definitely more than a year for most people. Although Mr. Eric was, I think actually faster than that, which was kind of crazy.
Yeah, he's a quick learner.
No, it was about actually it was like probably about a year and a half.
Okay, so a year and a half. Okay, that's actually that's about how long it took me as well, which is very interesting because it seems to me like there's that clear process that everyone kind of goes through in the learning phase. You know, you kind of spin your wheels for like typically about the first 6 months. Then you actually either decide, okay, I'm going to take this fucking seriously, or I'm going to I don't know, get wrecked or just try something else. And around that 6 month mark is where people typically I think make that switch, and then the next 6 months to a year is when they actually like dial it in. And then after, you know, about having you know, consistent profitability for half a year to a year, you know, usually people start to actually think about it in that way, which I think is probably about the right way to do it. Obviously, you know, longer is better, and but it, you know, it's a scary thing. So I wanted to talk also about Eric first. What was like the biggest sort of hurdle that you faced yourself? Like, what was what was like the biggest impediment kind of stopping you from making that leap, or what was just the most difficult thing that you had to deal with?
So, you know, I don't want to get too deep in this, and there's probably people that could speak better on a psychological level, but like trading is almost like an emotional journey. You know, like you kind of like learn about yourself like throughout it, like what works for you. Um, you know, so I thought that setting alarms at like 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. to wake up for Bitcoin, you know, hitting certain horizontals was like what a trader did, you know. And I thought that like you had to get every single trade, like, you know, every single time, you know, all your signals like lined up that like you were, you know, ready to trade. You know, I also probably, if I had a bad day, you know, I probably wanted to gamble on the markets, you know. So what I'm getting at is learning like about myself and like really like figuring out like, okay, you know, what is best for me as a trader, you know, like how do I learn to separate like my emotions from this like trading, you know, this game of trading, you know, I'm going to call it. And I would say like, you know, looking back on it, even like, you know, more so to today, like it's amazing how today I can like look at a trade and feel like zero like FOMO, or like say I get out of a trade early, right? And I end up making $300 and I could have made 1,000, right? 2 years ago, that would have crushed my soul. Like I would have been depressed for days. Now it's like I made $300, like great, you know? And I would say like once I learned how to emotionally control myself, like the technical indicators, like yes, it does take some time to learn, but realistically, like I don't think you have to have some sort of like huge education to understand how to read what they say, right? But I think for myself, to answer your question, is like, you know, when I understood how to like understand you myself and really, you know, what was best for me as a trader, like on an emotional level and like time commitment level, you know, like I don't trade anymore. Like I really don't trade cryptocurrencies too often like anymore because they're 24/7, right? I like the nice 9:30 to 4 p.m. time frame. And I find like when I focus for those 7.5 hours, that's the best for me, right? And then I could mentally relax for the next 16 until the, you know, the next morning.
Absolutely. And that's probably what makes you more sharp in general anyways. I went through something very similar myself. And it's just so interesting to me that, you know, it's like, I think that most people can learn any sort of basic technical analysis. You know, it could be super complicated, could be basic, but regardless of it, you could learn it in, you know, maximum a few months probably. But making that shift between actually, you know, learning the technical analysis or learning whatever strategy you're going to be using and then applying it, there's always some sort of divide there. So it's interesting to see that that was, you know, your sort of hurdle as well, because a lot of people think that like, you know, you have to be in a trade every fucking second, which for myself was a big thing. Like when first beginning, it took me like 2 years to get out of that mindset in order to finally evolve into like, look, there's an abundance of opportunities, man. The market ain't fucking stopping. The market, you know, the market's gonna be going on long before we're, you know, alive and long before we're dead, or long after we're dead. And so there's no real rush to getting into a trade that you're not like fully sold on. And so for myself, kind of like writing off of what you just said, it was mostly just waiting for like the perfect things that I'm looking for. Sometimes it could take some time, that could be the case some days or some weeks even. And, but if I get those, I'm more than happy to wait, because at the end of the day, the result is typically better. It does require some patience, obviously. And that's kind of that internal battle that I believe I was kind of fighting in the same way that I believe it sounds like you were as well. But I'm curious to hear, Ken, for yourself, like how was that whole thing?
So one of the issues that I've had to work on was complacency, in a way where I'm no longer, you are your own boss.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a bunch of money in your accounts, you don't need to hit a trade that day, that week, or that month.
Right.
And so I had to really work on staying hungry and being on top of it. Because the market is going to give you what the market's going to give you. And,
right.
Just because things are going great right now doesn't necessarily mean that things keep going that way. It ebbs and flows.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I had to, work on, being, a little diligent in how I approach the work. And also dealing with the fact that, when all of your revenue is coming from trading, if you have a couple of bad trades, there does start to become like a little bit of a fear issue when you first start going, where there's no money coming from anywhere else, So, you have to manage your emotions. You have to, not get complacent, not be scared to put on risk when it's warranted. A lot of the mental things that you guys touched on, I feel like, people are complex, and trading is a very, emotional endeavor for a lot of people. And, removing that emotion from the trading takes some practice, but definitely takes some practice. And I think, by now, I used to, like Eric was saying, if I take a big loss, it would piss me off, and I would, sometimes like stay out of the market and miss the next trade because I was mad about missing the last one.
Right.
And, getting myself to a place where, it all just, runs off you like water, is, where I am now. But it wasn't easy to get there. It definitely took, you have to take your lumps a little bit. And
how long would you say that did take, actually?
Well, so my particular issue is I really like to be right. Like, I don't know if it's from me. I don't know. It's like from my days as an attorney, but like, it sometimes when I first started, the position was almost like a matter of like principle, whereas like I put this on and it's going to be right, and recognizing that, no, the market doesn't care if you're right or wrong. The market, in fact, doesn't care about you at all. The worst possible thing to your position could happen to you, and the market's not going to blink an eye. And I think, so that was my toughest thing. And it took me, when I went full time, I still wasn't fully to that point where I still had this like wanting to be right thing. And I think, I took a couple good lumps, some like oversized drawdowns of, like 5% of the account, things like that. And then you start to learn, okay, I'll be wrong. I'll manage my risk appropriately, and I'll end up a lot happier at the end of the day. It took me, from start to finish in 2013 to 2017, probably to fully accept that. So it takes a while for some people. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like a debilitating thing, but I would notice, every so often I'd fall into one of those bad trades. And, getting rid of those bad trades, as this, like, it's a lot easier to make 2% back than 10% back. Exactly. Yeah, that I say that was the big thing for me.
If you don't mind me asking, like what tangible things did you kind of implement, perhaps, in order to kind of get over that over time? Because it sounds like you were both of you guys are pretty cognizant of those issues.
I would keep a journal. I still do sometimes when I start to see myself go into a little bit of a rut, or I guess not hot streak. I'll start documenting my trades a little bit more. Not only the technicals and why I'm putting the trade on, but also kind of like how I'm feeling. What my mindset is. Things like that, where it's once you start keeping track of these things, you can look back at it and kind of, in an organized manner. That's what I found very helpful for me personally is, writing down your mistakes and thinking about them later.
Yeah. And I would say like, this, finding, I guess, what works for me wasn't just like one day I realized like, oh, this is what I need to do. I think it came over probably months of making mistakes, maybe even, the first like 6 months of me feeling like I need to be in every single trade and me trying out different markets, trading different equities and kind of finding what's the best for me. So, I think for kind of everybody, it's a little bit personal. It's going to be like, you have to kind of go out and try what works the best for you. I don't think, everybody's trading style, some people can sit in front of the computer and probably trade for 20 hours. That's not going to work for me, and I basically found that out by trial and error. Yeah, exactly.
Totally. So if I could ask you, like, if you could maybe go back to yourself when you're first beginning, what sort of advice would you give yourself?
Buy more Bitcoin. No.
A damn time machine.
This is going to sound a little cheesy, but I would say I would have told myself to, I guess I joined your course pretty early into the outset, but the information I learned from your course was invaluable. I mean, I feel like that really put me up to like to being the trader that I am today. I really kind of put the finishing touches on it. Outside of that, I would say, I guess that, trading isn't, black and white. There's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of, and this touches back onto the being right or wrong thing. It's not right or wrong. It's, you have plan A, plan B, and plan C.
Right.
And so, I think that's one of the most valuable things for a new trader to realize is, technical analysis is about statistical probabilities. There's no sure thing. And, with these indicators and, candlestick formations, all these tools, it's just giving you an edge, but, that edge doesn't work out 100% of the time, and you need to be flexible and ready to adapt when it doesn't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, man, I mean, and I think you just said something really profound there. And I really want to highlight this for a second because it was a big thing for myself. And I think it's a big thing for a lot of other people out there as well, in the sense that technical analysis, no matter which variation you're doing, because there's a goddamn million of them, but no matter which variation you're doing, it's always a game of statistics and probabilities. Now, some indicators, they have better statistics than others, but at the end of the day, nothing's 100% certain. And the market is, well, in some ways, I mean, random. So you can't ride or die on, XYZ indicator, even if it works out 99% of the time, because that 1% of the time that it doesn't, you're fucked, you're out. And sometimes that can be a career ending move, or at the very least, just just a major setback. And to me, that was, a big switch in my mind kind of early on. It's like, hey, this isn't you can't be perfect in this game. It's about realizing when you're going to be wrong. And I'd almost even go as far as saying, like, the true value in learning some form of technical analysis is to know, more importantly, when you're wrong. Like when to get the fuck out, because a fucking monkey can press the red or green button at the end of the day, and maybe they make money too, it's entirely possible. But in order to actually manage those things over time, that's what actually makes you, in my opinion, a professional rather than just someone, fucking around essentially. I want to go back a little bit too. So, because I feel like this is just becoming like a great review in a sense, but I want to make sure that like we're all staying a bit grounded here as well, because one of the things that I want to make sure that the audience knows, especially newer people here, when you guys like kind of made the leap onto being a professional trader, like doing this basically as your main source of income is in the way that I'd relate that. Did you come in, or I would imagine that you came in with like, a decent amount of capital that you could obviously live off of. And obviously I'm not going to like ask you the specifics of those numbers, but if you could, and if you're comfortable with it, could you say like how much living expenses would be covered over X amount of time before you actually made that leap?
Yeah. So, I mean, both Eric and I live in a high living expense area. So, we're not like trading out of, not to knock Nebraska, but we're not living in Nebraska. So rent is a little steep. So I had enough to get me through, like, I mean, probably like a couple of years.
Say that's a really healthy way of doing it too.
Yeah, I mean, I would, we're pretty fortunate. I don't think you have to have a couple years in the bag, but I would say, I mean, a year to cover a year of living is ideal. I think that's probably safe.
Yeah.
6 months also not bad, but you definitely, you don't want to go full-time trading and start having to hit every trade to pay the bills right off the
Absolutely.
bat. The level of stress and mental angst you're going to have doing that is, you're going to drive yourself probably crazy. And you're going to be trying to, hit home runs and probably getting work for it,
Yeah.
So you definitely, you need a little bit of a cushion so that you can take the trades you want to take. Because when you're in a position where you're starting to be forced to take trades to make money, that's no longer really trading, in my opinion. That's when you start to get into like gambling in a way, because you got to do it whether the setup's there or not.
Absolutely.
So that's what I would say about that.
Yeah, I was not as responsible, but I kind of, I left with this idea in my head. So I left my job like full time in April, and I had planned to go back to school for like a 1 semester, like a 3-month course, right? Basically for like programming and data analysis, which is something I was interested in and I did want to take. But I kind of told myself that after that class, right, so I would give myself, from April to August trade, and then, I'd focus on the class, and after that I would find a new job. And basically I just never really had to find another job after that. So I kind of like gave myself options.
Gotcha.
But I had always like had told myself, if the trading doesn't work out, like I want to be responsible, like I want to, take the right steps in the meantime, that if this leap of faith doesn't work out, I have like a fallback option. I think it would probably be irresponsible for most people to, because you could lose all your money in trading, right? Like, it's not like an unheard of thing. People, even successful
quite common,
traders,
actually.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of my setup at the moment. But just to go back to your last question real quick about, what I would do if I were to go back, I would say patience, right? Like I feel like a lot of people coming in, I feel like they have to start trading leverage, right? Like BitMEX 50x. Like I don't know if people still do that, right?
It's up to 100, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I see the liquidation bot on Twitter.
Yeah. Or like options, on Robinhood, like Webull, like all these applications that a lot of the new generation are using. And it's quite concerning when I speak to people who are, trading from day one, like options. It's like, all right, come speak to me back in a year when you have $0. Like I can almost guarantee. Like, I know that sounds like horrible, but like I try saying like, please don't do this, So that would kind of be where I would start. Like, you can trade with 1 share, and you can learn how to trade trade technical analysis with 1 share.
Oh, totally.
Start small.
Yeah.
Exactly. Start small.
Yeah, but I mean that, and that's the reason why I wanted to get back to that is because mostly I don't want someone to hear this and be like, man, these 2 guys joined Krown's program and became professional traders. No, Kenyon was already a professional trader. Eric was just a really good he was just really fucking solid with it. And so I want to make sure that anyone who's viewing this, you understand that like this is, a multi-year long process. It's difficult. Most people don't even fucking make it as well, by the way. Regardless of what sort of training that they do have. And there's always going to be trials and tribulations as well, specific to the person. But now I want to get back to kind of what you guys are doing right now. Like, what do you guys, I know that you're not really too involved in the crypto market, which is where we met, but what are you guys doing?
So Eric and I actually have been working on a project that stemmed out of our appreciation and activity in the traditional markets, where, about 3 years ago, Eric reached out to me over the Discord and was like, hey, you seem like to be like, one of the few guys in here who knows some things and also likes to trade, traditionals. And so we started doing these calls, once or twice a week, where we would go over, a couple lists of stocks, probably like 200 names total. We review them separately and then talk about our favorite stocks, what we liked on the technicals. So we started, working together in that way. And through that, we came up with the concept for a newsletter of sorts called the Liquidity Zone, where, it's an educational tool for, people who want to learn more about technical analysis. Maybe they primarily do cryptocurrency and want to learn how technicals work on stocks, or, you know, people who just want to see what other people are thinking about the technicals. You know, I still, whenever I have the time, watch your videos because, well, A, you're fantastic, but also I like to see what you're thinking, you know. I like to see your take on the markets. I think that's always beneficial for any trader, no matter their, you know, expertise level. And so, yeah, we're putting together a newsletter that's going to be staggered in how it comes out, so that, you know, it's about a 15-minute read for each issue, and there'll be, you know, three installments every 2 weeks, and then the cycle starts over. Awesome. And so that's what we've been working on lately.
Absolutely. So I want to make sure that everyone who's watching right now, they can actually have a chance to go and check out your channel as well. It's going to be at, from what I understand, the Liquidity Zone. Nice and
That's correct.
Love it, man. Nice and easy name to remember there too. And you guys are going to be focused on well, primarily just traditional markets, right? Like nothing else.
Yeah, you know, it's going to be well. I mean, obviously, you know, we're flexible if the readership wants. I mean, I hate to say it, but, you know, like a shitcoin quarter or something, we could maybe think about doing it. But yeah, primarily it's gonna be on stocks, with a couple different regular installments or recurring columns. You know, we're gonna have a macro section where we break down, you know, what we're seeing on the technicals, on, you know, like the 1 week, 3 day, 1 month, you know, longer time frame stuff for a lot of the major indices. Then we're also going to have another column where we try and share a trading strategy from, you know, the different trading strategies we know each week. You know, a moving average cross or a divergence play, things like that. Sentiment section where Eric, you know, is very good with data and sentiment analysis. So we're going to have a little section breaking down, you know, how the market's feeling in terms of, you know, greed, fear, you know, too bullish, things looking at, like, you know, put call spreads, things like that.
It's one of my favorite little tricks.
Yeah. So, and then, yeah, you know, we're going to have like a little opinion column called the laboratory where we, you know, are going to talk about, you know, some of the meme stocks, maybe a little write up on SPACs. Yeah, you know, whatever people find interesting.
Actually, if you don't mind me stopping you right there, do you guys have an opinion on, I suppose the hot topic right now is GameStop, right? Or it's kind of like dying, I guess, but.
Oh,
so, yeah. You want to go first, Eric?
Like, it's obviously a great thing for a lot of people, you know, who have got into GameStop early. And it's obviously, like, you know, you can, with more experience, it's actually, I think it's kind of harder for people who have been trading and investing for a long time to look at GameStop, right? Because, you know, maybe I'll speak for myself, right? As a technical trader and someone who's been investing for a while, it's like, I saw GameStop go from like 40 to 80 and I was like, all right, this is done. Like, there's no way it's going to like 300, right? So in a way, it's like, oh, I'm the idiot, right? It's like, I'm the one who sold early, right? When all these people, but I think overall, the traders or people who are being introduced into investing through GameStop right now are having their expectations set that, you know, every stock they invest into is going to, you know, 100x, you know, or, you know, go up $200.
It's like 27 altcoin land.
Exactly. And that's actually, I think me and Ken had that conversation. It feels like the same, like it feels like we are going through like the same exact cycle in a way, right? Not like, you know, there's more stocks than GameStops, but like there's so many, you know, traditional equities in the last 6 months that really have no valuations, and they've been like doubling and tripling. You know, it's like, when does this end?
BlackBerry, Nokia. I mean, not, you know, there's a lot of older tech companies that have been cranking, and so that sometimes,
Do you guys look at any fundamentals?
We do. I mean, you know, we're primarily technical traders, obviously. So we're never like putting a trade on solely off of fundamentals. You know, I mean, personally, like, you know, I don't have a Bloomberg terminal. I don't have a whole research team. So like, I feel like my edge isn't in fundamentals.
I was going to say that. It's like, I want people to hear from the horse's mouth, from someone who actually trades traditional market as, you know, profession. If you're trading fundamentals, you're kind of on the back end of that one, because there's going to be
there's
quant firms that have such more vast access to tools. Like, I'll give you an example from a guy that I knew in Chicago. His firm, he was at like a medium term quant firm, not even like a humongous one, like a respectable one, but not great. And they were literally renting out fucking satellites in space to but to look at Chinese like actual firms in their industry, so that they could know the real production of what, like, I don't know, fucking cows are making there, or whatever the hell they're trying. Shit like that. Like,
I don't have a satellite.
So that's what I'm saying is, like, you can trade fundamentals, but you're competing with even more difficult people compared to just riding the trend.
Exactly. And, I certainly will consider fundamentals, or, like an angle for, why, why something like, for example, in one of our first issue of the Liquidity Zone, we have a column called Price Action in the Rear View, where we break down noteworthy moves in the market, kind of in a, Monday morning quarterback type of style. And we're going to be doing, the first one is on the airline pop that we just had over the past couple of weeks, where, as coronavirus fears subside, vaccination rollouts, the airlines had quite a nice move off of their lows. And so, it makes sense fundamentally why that would happen. But I personally would never be solely trading off of, airlines are going to get better because COVID's going to get better. The technicals were there, and that's why you put on the trade. But, a fundamental backdrop isn't harmful, but, I would never solely, go off of just the fundamental rationale.
Right.
Trade like that.
I mean, just thinking about, like, in a trading environment, how do you fucking manage risk off of, but like some fundamental news, right? It's like there's nothing, executable there. It's kind of like a notion. We don't even really know how to interpret it, maybe even anyways. It's nuanced, of course.
Or you wait for CNBC to tell you to sell.
That's right.
No, but I mean, I'm kind of, I was like fundamental. I was like, no, but I think this past year has been a perfect example, because if you were watching CNBC, I feel like CNBC is like Bravo for traders, honestly. Like, Real Housewives.
I watch it for entertainment. It's entertaining.
It is. I mean, it is. It's entertaining,
But April, March, yes, but like April, May, June, July, August, right? All the way still, right? Everybody's dying. The economy's shutting down. Like, sell your stocks. But the stock market just went straight up, right? The technicals basically since April, like mid-April, have been telling you, okay, like we're getting everything crossing back up. It's time to buy. So you got complete opposite signals, like on a fundamental or like news-driven level, but the technicals told you to basically be buying basically consistently since April, May of last year. So I think the last year is a perfect example of kind of why to follow technicals.
Absolutely. On that topic, what are you guys' thoughts on just the general market right now, like major indices and everything? So,
I mean, I was taking a look yesterday, and we have the quarterly close coming up. So, that's always a big, event. But like NASDAQ, it's starting to stutter stuff a little bit at the highs here. There are some divergences building up on 3-day, 1 week. That being said, we did have a monster close Friday afternoon, which may, the stochastics on the 1 week were coming into the 80 marker and about to dip below. And we'll see how it opens tonight. But, that pump on Monday, if it opens strong today, could be enough to keep those get those stocks back up above the 80 marker, which would be a pretty crazy sign of strength. This far into this the phase of the market.
I'm kind of on the same page. I mean, it's kind of hard not to be bullish on what we just saw.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's crazy, but it looks totally crazy. And I've been been looking for a sign that the party, not that the bull market's going to end tomorrow, but it's getting to a point where things they've cooled off a bit now. So maybe there is room for another leg right here. But it's a very interesting time where I think a lot of people are gonna be calling it the party over before it is, and probably taking a beating because of that.
Absolutely, man. I mean, that's a fucking classic move. It's like, or what does the saying go? Even if you're early, you're wrong. Like everyone's gonna be calling a top because no shit, a top will come at some point. Yes, but I don't know, man. I don't think I see it at least for a little bit here. Still looking pretty damn good to me.
Yeah.
Basically. I mean, usually, I mean, you can maybe be looking at a little bit of weakness in Nasdaq, for example, but broad market is strong right now, and it just keeps going up, baby.
Yeah, and the thing was, even when Nasdaq was looking not so hot the past week or two, the other indices were actually looking pretty strong still. So
yeah, true, very true.
I think maybe when we get a nice 3-day jewel signal across all of them, that could be
maybe we get a 5% pullback.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
About it at this point, but yeah, man, I hear you on that. So I want to be respectful of your time and everything. I know that we've been here for about an hour now. Is there anything else that you guys want to say, or any sort of closing notes here?
Oh, yeah. Well, as part of the liquidity zone, everyone, it's going to be through the Krown trading app. We are putting out a welcome note and some guides on some of the technical indicators that we're going to be using in the liquidity zone.
Awesome.
Just so that any readers can come up to speed and engage with the content fully, and those are all going to be free on there. So anyone who wants to come check it out and get a little rundown on RSI, stochastics, horizontal support resistance, all those guides will be free, and we're putting them into a pretty snazzy format that should be a good way to teach the content. So yeah, if whoever wants to, come check it out.
Hell yeah! All right. Well, Eric, anything?
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm excited for the launch this week. We're, like Ken said, we have a lot of great content coming out over the next few weeks. So you'll hear from us probably later this week.
Awesome, man. So I just want to say, guys, if you're watching this video right now and you're interested in traditional markets, especially, check out these guys, Liquidity Zone, YouTube. They're guys and I've been looking for this for such a long fucking time. Been looking at this for a very long time. I've always wanted to kind of partner with people in other other markets, essentially. So traditional markets being a big one, that's kind of where I had my career start. And so this one's a special one for me. And most importantly, I can stand by these guys. I know these guys. I've known both of them, Eric and Ken, for 3 years now, which is kind of fucking insane. And
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's completely crazy. But these are the guys who I can stand by, and I can actually put my name by as well. So I strongly suggest checking them out. Again, Liquidity Zone, the Liquidity Zone on YouTube. Do you guys have any other socials?
I have a Reddit profile. I guess I could put in the YouTube description or something like that.
Cool. Yeah. I'll have that all linked below, of course.
Yeah, we'll put a link for that. I do some write-ups on Reddit, teaching technical indicators, doing a little bit of analysis, things like that. So
excellent.
We'll throw that in too.
Alrighty, Mr. Eric.
No, that we probably should have more social media, but that's all we have right now.
Instagram. Well, fair enough, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure, man. I've really enjoyed this. I want to have you guys back on hopefully sometime in the not so distant future, just kind of chat marks and everything now that people are more well acquainted with you. And massive thank you for coming on in.
Of course. Thank you for having us. It was a great time.
Alrighty, fellas. Take care and see you soon.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
Yeah. Have a good one.